couple of years ago, I was on my way to work. I was sleeping on the train, I was tired. You walked in, you and two other people, and you woke me up from my sleep, basically. Just went to work. As soon as I walked in, my head chef was watching you on YouTube. And I was like, wait a second, I just saw this guy, who is he? Then went home, watched a couple of videos. Next week, I was at a crash course.
What happened then when you came to the property investor crash course?
You literally became my virtual best friend. I walked into the viewing and there were so many people pulling up with big cards, and I thought I was never gonna get this. I did not have any money at all. I was like, how about me paying you 6 months in advance? That was about 17 grand that they agreed. I didn't have any money. Those agents now are literally ringing me every other day.
Say yes, and then figure the details out later. What's your profit roughly now with your whole portfolio that you've got now? What are you making a month? Otman, huge respect for everything you've achieved in the last, 2-3 years?
Thank you very much.
So why don't you tell the story of how we got connected, because it's quite a funny story.
A couple of years ago, I was on my way to work. And I was sleeping on the train, I was tired. And you walked in, you and two other people, and you woke me up from my sleep, basically. I looked at you and I was like, who's this arrogant guy? And I didn't think much of it, and then just went back to sleep.
What was I talking about?
No idea, you were pointing to buildings. I was like, oh, arrogant billionaire, maybe inherited it from his father or something.
I was like pointing to that, oh, we're just buying this and we just bought this. And
probably something like that.
I'm talking to my guys, you're sleeping thinking, shut up.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I'm glad I woke you up.
Then after uni, I went back to mine, put down my bags, went to work. And as soon as I walked in, my head chef was watching you on YouTube videos. And I was like, wait a second, I just saw this guy on the train. Who is he? And then he introduced me to you. Then went home, watched a couple of videos. Next week, I was at your crash course. And then.
So you were at the time, you were working as a chef?
No, I was literally working as a KP, washing dishes.
Okay.
I just thought that I wanted to be in an uncomfortable position, like so that I can get out of it as soon as possible and make my dreams come true.
Did you enjoy working as a cleaner?
Not really, and that was the whole point of it. I just didn't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah, and you were also at university?
Yeah.
Why did you go to uni? What was the plan?
I didn't really have a reason. I just wanted to make my parents proud because of all the sacrifices that they made to raise me, basically.
They wanted you to go to uni?
Yeah, they wanted me to, but I knew that I wasn't going to become a lawyer eventually.
What did you study?
Business law.
You studied law? That's an interesting subject to study, that.
It is indeed, but it's not really something that I want to do.
So you heard me on the train talking about how rich I am and all the things I'm doing. You were like, what a jerk. But then you saw me on YouTube. What switched? What made you think, 1 minute he's a jerk to 1 minute I'm going to go on one of his training programs?
I'll have to apologize. That was just my first impression. When I first saw you, I was like, oh, he's an arrogant guy. But once I met you and started listening to you, I'll have to admit that I was wrong. You're actually a great person, and you give so much back to the community and helping people.
Well, I appreciate that. And first impressions literally are just, I mean, especially if you're sleeping and you're like, oh, this dude's working me up. Like, don't worry, I don't take that personally in the slightest. What happened then when you came to the property investor crash course?
I just knew that it was meant to be. You literally became my virtual best friend. I started watching you day and night I wasn't doing anything other than sleep, watching your videos the whole day for about 2-3 months. And
you signed up as well for the online advanced training?
Yeah, I signed up for the deal selling extravaganza.
Deal selling masterclass and the deal finding extravaganza, I remember.
At the time I didn't have much money, so I rented a car, started deal sourcing some deals. I sold a couple of deals, but then after that I realized that I wanted to have a couple of rent-to-rents before selling deals. Mm-hmm. So I started watching your rent-to-rent free content that you have on YouTube, and then I literally tweaked it a little bit. I started approaching landlords, asking them if they wanted me to manage their properties in exchange of 10% of their rental income. And once I got about 4 properties, I had a bit more money, and then from that I started getting rent-to-rents.
So talk to me about your first property and how you found it, how you got it, and how you structured it.
I walked into the viewing and there were so many people pulling up with big cars, and I thought I was never gonna get this property. I did not have any money at all, but the deal just sounded great. After all my calculations, I was gonna make about $1.5 grand per month. Went back home, I put in my offer, and the following day got back to me saying that it was gone. They decided to go with somebody else. And I was like, what would you want from me in order to give me the property? I was like, how about me paying you 6 months in advance. How does that sound? And bear in mind, I didn't have any money in my pocket. So that was about 17 grand that they agreed for me to give them. I didn't have any money. So I started reaching out to all my friends. And in less than 12 hours, I found the money.
But this is the thing, what you actually did was you did what Richard Branson says, which is say yes and then figure the details out later, right? So they're saying to you, have you got your references? Have you got this? And you're just like, yeah, got everything. And then it's like, okay, so then they'll let you get your foot in the door, then you'll figure it out.
That's right.
Which is what you did.
And ever since that, those agents now are literally ringing me every other day, bringing me properties, several properties. Ever since they gave me 4 properties, and now I'm in the process to get the 5th one again with them.
And that's the thing as well, like, and part of what we teach is how to be creative and get around the referencing and get around because everybody can find a problem. Everybody can say, I've not got any money, I've not got any references, I've not got a company, I've not got this. But rather than saying, I haven't got, I can't do, you've got to say, how can I do? How can I get? And you've got to be a problem solver and creative and get around problems.
I was just willing to do whatever it takes to make it, basically.
So you had no money, you had no references, but you managed to secure a property. And what was the structure of that property? Was it a rent to rent? What was it?
Rent to HMO.
Okay, so you're renting this, and how much are you renting it for?
The first property I rented it out for £3,000, and after all expenses, was netting 1,500 per month.
So that one property was making you £1,500.
Yeah.
That's incredible, bro.
That's right. The second one is netting 2 grand per month.
Profit.
That's right.
And where are these?
Around London, mainly North London.
So how are you managing to get so much rent? Why are the landlords not just renting it as a HMO themselves?
Because they don't really want to be dealing with tenants. I recognize that it's really hard to be there dealing with tenants every time, especially when they're troublemakers, and they would rather get a middleman to deal with it and just receive that passive income and just have the peace of mind, basically.
So how much are you paying on average? How much are you paying the landlords?
It depends. 3 grand in average per property.
3 grand. And this is an interesting thing as well, Otman. Like when you started, you had no money. But a lot of people, when they've not got money, they think they want a rent to rent. They think, I want rent to rent to build up my cash flow. But even if I put a rent to rent in front of them and said, there you go, they wouldn't sign it because they're chicken out. Because with a rent to rent, actually, if you're having to commit to pay £3,000 a month, and then you've got to pay the bills, and then you've got to pay, it's a lot of money to commit to paying, isn't it?
That's true. Yeah, but you can't just have the reward without having any risks involved. Life is a risk itself, so you have to be willing to put yourself out there and make some sacrifices in order to get the rewards.
Yeah, it's so true, but the interesting thing is rich people and business owners have high expenses. People that are struggling financially think I need to work harder and I need to just spend less money and stop drinking Starbucks and cancel Netflix subscription. But actually that will lead to poverty. That's a poverty trap. What you need to do is you need to actually have more outgoings, but the right kind of outgoings. You know, so taking on a rent to rent actually increases your monthly expenses.
That's true, it does.
But then your profit is what matters. What's your profit roughly now with your whole portfolio that you've got now? What are you making a month?
With my last property now, a bit over 8 grand.
8,000 a month?
8,300, something like that.
And how has that changed your life? I mean, are you still working as a cleaner?
No, now I'm financially free. I will admit that I still have the debts because I didn't really have money, so I asked friends and family to loan me money in order to get the properties.
Sure.
But once I'll pay everything back, then I'll practically be financially free.
So you've borrowed money from friends and family to initially pay for some of your business?
All of them.
How did you pay for your training? Because I know you spent a couple of thousand just on training.
Borrowing money. So
you basically borrowed loads of money to get to the point where you're at now, but now you're making £8,300 a month profit. You're paying slowly back your debts. Talk to me a little bit about good debt and bad debt, because you've got into a lot of debt, which a lot of people would think, oh my gosh, that's really bad. But there is a difference between good debt and bad debt.
Without a doubt. In my opinion, I had good debt. The reason why I say that is because every single property was literally infinite return on investment. I didn't really put anything from my own pocket. So everything that the properties are making is literally profits.
Yeah. So what are you doing? Are you paying your debts back in terms of, are you giving them interest or are you giving them a profit share of the properties?
No, just interest.
Okay. And how much roughly are you paying interest?
A lot, 20%.
Oh, wow.
I was just generous because I was like, it's infinite return on investment. I'm not really putting anything down. They're helping me. Let me help them as well. At the end of the day, it's a win-win situation.
So it's a little bit like a profit share almost, because even though you're giving them a fixed percentage of 20%, which is really high, who are these people? Your friends, family?
Yes, friends.
Friends.
But 20% of the money that they borrowed me, not of the property. So once, for every £1,000 that they gave me, I give them £200 back. So once that's paid back, everything that the properties I make is mine.
How do you manage to get people to lend you money for your rent-to-rent properties and also for your training? What do you have in place, and what do you have to say to get them to agree to give you thousands of pounds?
In my opinion, it's just by being honest, transparent. They've been friends for a long time, and I happen to be surrounded by good people. So if I ask anybody that is around me, they'll just give me money without hesitation, because they know that if they do, they will get their money back, basically.
So you've got a bit of a track record now that you pay people back.
Yeah.
How much outstanding debt do you have?
I really don't want to focus on that. I have no idea. It's a lot of money, but I really don't want to think about it. Every time I have some money, I just pay them back. I have everything written down, because that will make me think negative. So I just rather not focus.
But you're right though, in a way. Rather than focusing on the debt, what you focus on expands.
Yeah, every time an agent calls me with a new property, I'll be like, yeah, I'm taking it, even though I don't have the money. And then I'll call my friends, whoever has some money, they send them to me right away, get the property, do the works, rent it out. What
would happen if the rent-to-rent properties didn't work out?
I really think that's not an option.
Yeah.
Rent demand is always there.
Right.
So it's almost impossible for it to not work out.
But do you have like break clauses on your rent-to-rents?
Yeah.
So you have a break clause, meaning that if for whatever reason it's not working to plan,
of course,
you can give the keys back.
Of course, within the first 6 months. If I rent out the property and for some reason I don't like it, I'll be able to walk away from it.
How do you spot a good deal versus a bad deal? Like, how do you tell if a deal is going to work? How do you know if it's going to work?
I just walk into the property, view the rooms, and I kind of know how much rooms rent out for. And depending on how much the landlord wants, I'll be able to kind of tell. I mean, by doing this, after a while it becomes automatic. So
you know that you've got to know the area, you've got to know the demands. So you'll be able to walk in and go, I could rent that room out for £1,000, I could rent that room out for $750.
That's right.
I know how long it would take, I know my market, I know the type of people that will be living here. The landlord wants X. If I negotiate it down a little bit, and then I'm paying the bills and this, and then you're going to just work out your profit margins, and then boom. And interesting as well, do you own any properties or do you control all of them?
I control them all.
So you're making £8,000 a month, but you don't actually you own your business, but you don't own any properties.
Actually, one is in the process of to be a lease option agreement. The last one.
Talk to me about what lease option agreement is, because that's like incredible.
So it's a great house, has the potential to be extended in the front, on the side, in the back.
Good.
On the loft, the garage can be converted into a 2-bedroom house. It's just infinite potential in it.
Yeah.
And the house is outdated because the parents died and the sons are just trying to get rid of it. The property is up for 515, and if it's done up as it is, it will be worth 850. So I basically offer them 535 in 5 years. And in the meantime, I'll be paying them £2,200 for the next 5 years.
So you basically, it's like a bit of a delayed sale, right? So you've agreed to buy it for 535. You're going to then get a restriction on the property. They have to sell it to you and only you.
Yeah.
You're then going to fix it up a bit, push the value up. You're going to probably borrow that money from friends and family.
Or maybe you.
Or maybe me. But the thing is, if it's not like you're continuing to borrow money to go on holiday, to buy a sofa, that would be leading you into a downward spiral. You're borrowing money, but you're using that money to invest it in stuff that's giving you cash flow and going up in value. That's why it's good debt. So by the time you come to pay for it, it's going to have gone up massively in value. You can refinance it. If you're paying them 2,200, 2,200, are you making profit on that a month as well?
Yes, it's a 5-bedroom house, it is, plus 1 reception room.
So you're going to rent it out room by room, make a nice profit from it?
I mean, if everything goes to plan and we sign the lease option and we go ahead with it, then yes.
That's a great way of building your capital appreciation without actually having to put down deposits on buying a house. What is it that you would say to your 2-year younger self You know, when you were like, let's say, on that train that one day, on your way to work to clean the dishes, or you were at your first ever property investors crash course, knowing what you know now, you've been through it, what would you advise yourself from 2 years ago? What are the biggest things that you've learned?
To not judge a book by its cover. I shouldn't have really made an assumption about you, and and watch your videos, because they're really helpful and will help whoever is watching to set up their business and become successful as well.
What are your plans for the future? What are you hoping to do over the next sort of few years?
Sign up for the academy, because I want to get full-time into development.
So you want to start doing bigger deals, doing developments. And you know, I think, you know, the way that you are, you inspire a lot of people around you. I know your brother as well.
Yeah.
He's also got into property more recently. How's he getting on?
It's great. As soon as I started getting a couple of properties, he was like, oh, I want to do it as well. I didn't really teach him anything. I was like, okay, go on YouTube, search Samuel Leeds, watch all his videos, and that's it. That's all you need to get your property. He asked me again, and I kept saying the same thing. Go on YouTube, watch his videos. That's all you need. And then he started watching your videos, and all of a sudden he called me, literally after he took the computer, started looking for a property. Within 2 days came to me and was like, I found a property. We went and viewed it, and he secured it, and literally a month later, that property became successful, and he's making 1,400 something per month, just out of one property.
That's like a full-time, this is revolutionary stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, it's unbelievable.
The fact that you were making, how much were you making when you were cleaning dishes?
700, 800 pounds a month.
So you were making 700, 800 pounds a month. You've 10 times that.
Yes.
10 times what you were making.
Oh, this is just the beginning.
And this is just the beginning. Another question I got for you is, you talk about how great YouTube is, which I agree, of course. My YouTube channel is ridiculously valuable, because I give so much on YouTube. I give so much away for free. But then you also talk about how, you know, you invested a couple thousand, you got to get training. You're now about to enroll onto the academy, which is, you know, £12,000. It's not a small amount of money. What's the, and this is a genuine question, what's the purpose of, why would you pay for education and mentorship when you can get it online for free?
Well, if people think that education is expensive, they better wait until they get handed the bill for being broke and having to work a regular job for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's, in my opinion, is kind of, it does not really make sense. You have to invest in yourself in order to get the knowledge that you need to succeed in whatever field you want to get into.
But why would you not just do it for free on YouTube?
You have to pay for somebody's experience to avoid the mistakes that they did.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess it's almost like if you want to learn to drive a car, I guess, the way I would put it, because I get asked this question a lot. That's why I was interested in your opinion. If you want to learn to drive a car, yes, you can learn on YouTube and you can read the theory book, and you need to do that, and that's good. But the real way to learn something is to just do it. And to do driving, you need to do it with a driving instructor sat next to you, otherwise you're going to crash. Like you said, if you think education's expensive, try the bill for mistakes. So I guess the way that I certainly justify, because I go on a lot of courses and training programs, I've had a lot of mentors, is I just think I want someone with me in the room that can help me along, that can fast track me, it's quicker, you know. And I think no one blinks an eye when people go to university and spend 30, 40, 50 grand to get a degree like you did. I'm sure you've now got a lot of uni debt.
I kind of regret it. I'm 100,000 in debt, and for a piece of paper that I'm not really going to use.
Is that how much it cost you to get your law degree?
Yeah, 100,000 is 96,000 pounds in debt.
96 grand. But no one will blink at that. And you'll go, yeah, well, my mum's happy. Was it worth it?
Just to see my parents smile, I guess. But no, I would rather send them some money from my properties every month that will make them smile even more.
If you gave them 96 grand as a deposit to buy their dream home, maybe that would make them smile more. I mean, 96 grand at uni, and you knew that you weren't going to go on to do that.
Yeah, I just didn't see myself working a normal job and be living an average life.
So you finished uni. When did you qualify?
About a year ago.
That's a lot of debt, bro. But here's the thing. Guaranteed, everybody watching this video, if they've got anything negative to say, they'll be like, oh, you're in debt because of your rent-to-rents, you borrowed money. But what about the 96 grand uni? No one will care about that. Even though the uni debt is worse debt, in my opinion.
It is indeed, because now I don't like when I have debts. I kind of feel like I can't breathe, especially if it's bad debt. If it's good debt, you'll be like, okay.
It's paying itself then.
True.
It's like your debt. When I asked you how much debt you're in, you're like, I don't even know or care. I don't want to focus on it because it's just being paid back. And the only reason I've got profits from this is because I took that in the first place. So the debt will pay itself back.
As a matter of fact, I kept going holidays. Every time you reached out for an interview, I was somewhere in the world.
Yeah, I know, bro. Took me a while to get this because you do travel. But you're in Dubai, you're here, you're there. You were born in Morocco?
That's right, yeah.
And then grew up in Italy?
Yeah.
Now London. Where do you think are the best parts of London for investment?
I just focused on North London, so I'm not sure. When it comes to buy, I would rather focus on up north, so where you can buy low and rent high. But other than that, I would say East London as well when it comes to buying, maybe.
I think if you're buying to develop, London's good. I mean, I've got a lot of developments around Buckinghamshire, which are very profitable, land and all kinds of stuff. But if you're right, if you're buying just to buy and rent out, then you're not going to get the returns in London.
That's right, yeah.
Than you would in the Midlands or in the north of the country. What would you say has been the hardest point? You say you've not got any regrets, fair enough, but what's been the most challenging point of this entire journey?
I don't really think I had any challenging point, I'll be honest, because I don't know, once I'm obsessed with something, I'll just stick to it until it becomes successful. So I really don't see any setbacks.
How do you get the time to continually be travelling the world when you've got so much responsibility here in London with all of these properties?
There isn't much to be done, to be honest. Once all the properties are rented out and you make sure you've done your job properly, there isn't really much to do, to be honest.
So you've systemised it pretty decently?
Yes, absolutely.
So how does it feel to be making £8,300 a month profit and not have to go to work and travel the world? Like, that's crazy, bro.
It is great. It's a great feeling. You don't have to answer to nobody. You can do whatever you want, whenever you like.
Why do you think more people don't do property investment? Why isn't everybody doing this?
I don't know. And they're wrong for not doing it, I guess. I mean, this is the best investment I could have ever made.
And worse than that is a lot of people, not only do they not do it, but they find reasons and pick holes and say things like, oh, but it can't work, the market's going to change, we're entering a recession, this is going to... And it's like, man, you know, not only are you not winning, but you're hating on those that are winning. So how do you deal with negativity?
I found out that most people are very negative. I try to not be negative at all. Every time somebody comes with an idea, I'll be like, okay, let's make it happen. I'll try to work it out, find a way to make it happen. And then if I really think it's not going to work for me, I'll be just moving on. But I'll still give it a go and try to.
Have you had anybody in your circles from uni or work that have been negative or tried to hold you back while you've been doing this?
Absolutely, everyone.
Really?
Yes, everyone around me is very negative, if I have to be honest. Everyone told me, stop playing games, go get a real job, stop dreaming, and I guess they were wrong.
What's your message to those people now?
Try to be less negative and try to go after your dreams.
I guess that's another thing as well about networking and training and the academy and things like that, is it's about being around other winners.
That's right.
Because your environment, you know, people, network, environment is, in my opinion, hugely important.
This is something a bit crazy, but because I was surrounded by so much negativity, every time I went to work, I was working in a very posh area. So every time I saw somebody with a nice car, I was literally walking to them and asking them, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do for a living? Just for a bit of positivity around me, basically.
Yeah. What is the best thing about having money?
The freedom to do whatever you want, basically, and not having to answer anybody and give back when it's possible.
I remember as well, do you remember the Freedom Formula Intensive, the online?
Yeah.
And we were speaking, and I think that was just the beginning of your journey.
Yes, that was it.
What happened?
So much changed ever since. I mean, it's just being surrounded by so many successful people and like-minded people that gets you in a position to do and put so much work into your journey and make it happen, basically.
What's your message to anybody watching this?
Watch Samuel Leeds.
Well, I appreciate you coming down to my house. It's been a great interview, and hopefully people will be inspired and enlightened. And massive congrats on your success.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.